You will advance, coming on like a storm. You will be like a cloud covering the land. You and all your hordes and many peoples with you. Thus says Yahweh God. On that day, thoughts will come into your mind, and you will devise an evil scheme and say, I will go up against the land of unwalled villages. Now, some people say, well, that's got to be Israel. But there are no unwalled. There's very few unwalled villages in Israel. They've got a lot of walls in those villages. Our view is that the Gog armies are either en route or already at the land of Israel when they decide to attack not only the main cities, but to go after those living safely in the desolate mountains, unwalled villages. We'll talk more about this group of people later. I will fall upon the quiet people who dwell securely. So notice the definition of who they are going to attack. Quiet people who dwell securely. So, is Israel living securely? Are they quiet? Doesn't quite fit with the nation of Israel as we know it, is it? They are not dwelling securely. The Hebrew root for quiet, shakot, is a word that's used several times in the book of Joshua, Judges, and Chronicles to describe the land during times there was rest from war. Shakot. The root word for securely is batak, which means to trust. So these people that Gog has a thought to attack are at rest from war and living safely. We believe these are the 12 tribes regathered by Yahweh at the end of days, and that we're safe because he will be with us or them in the second Exodus as he was with Israel in the first Exodus. More on this shortly. Back to Ezekiel. All of them, the people dwell securely, all of them dwelling without walls. So there's no walls. All of them, no walls. So this can't be Israel. If you've ever been to Jerusalem, there's one mighty wall still around that city. All of them are dwelling without walls, and they have no bars or gates. There's no doors. So what kind of abode has no walls, no bars, or gates? Tents. Bedouins. To seize spoil, so they're coming to seize spoil and carry off plunder, to turn your hand against the waste places that are now inhabited, and the people who were gathered from the nations. So here in Ezekiel, these people were gathered from the nations who have acquired livestock and goods, who dwell at the center of the earth. Now, when you see that dwelling at the center of the earth, whenever the scriptures talk about dwelling at the center of earth, that's Israel. Israel is the center of the earth. It's the apple of the Father's eye. So they are dwelling somewhere near Israel, but they have no walls, no bars, no gates. They have livestock and goods, and they dwell safely and securely somewhere at the center of the earth.
In the middle of the ocean in a ship on a
I think they're in the mountains east of.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Who are the Bedouins? Is that what you said?
Bedouins?
I never heard that before.
Bedouins?
And you brought it up a few times.
Well, I have to show you pictures of the Bedouins. So the Bedouins still live in the Middle East like they used to do 2,000 years ago.
Have they been mentioned in the Bible?
Oh, yeah. Well, they don't call them Bedouins.
Oh.
Abraham was a Bedouin.
Oh, okay.
They lived in tents. They live in tents.
Like a gypsy.
Like gypsies. They live in tents. They have livestock. They live off the land.
Okay.
No electricity. Some of them now have generators and so forth. But yeah, we'll have to do a say. But they live like they did 2,000-3,000 years ago, like Abraham did.
Okay.
And they live in tents.
I just wondering because you said that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. I forget sometimes some of these things I haven't kind of showed you before. The phrase center of the earth is tabur haratz in Hebrew. Haratz means the land, and tubur is a word that's only used twice in the Bible. Once here and once in Judges, where it sounds like it means a place of high elevation. Since in Judges, people descend from tabur haretz. They descend from the center of the earth. This mention of high elevation matches what Ezekiel said earlier about the battle taking place in the mountains. There's a connection. So to summarize, Gog comes against Israel. Now, Israel being the true Israel. So that's those who are circumcised in their heart and include the 12 tribes. Does it include those who are not in a tribe, the wild branches? I don't know. Carlos and Dawson say that it includes them. Yet earlier in the study, I was a little confused how that could happen before Yeshua comes in the cloud. To summarize, God comes against Israel, and in that day, he has a thought to come against the land of unwalled villages to people who have been gathered from many peoples and who are now on the continually waste mountains of Israel, at rest from war and dwelling securely. Despite many peace deals over the past 70 plus years, we cannot say the people of the state of Israel are at rest from war. In fact, Daniel says, and there will be wars until the end. They live under constant threat of war and are constantly engaged in various types of warfare. They are reliant on bomb shelters and fortified walls for safety. They are not dwelling securely without walls, as Ezekiel described. Yet Ezekiel and many other prophets wrote about a time when a people who God calls Israel will be gathered to the mountains and will live under his protection without walls while he judges the earth. The time has not yet come, but is coming soon. Before we continue in Ezekiel, let's clarify one pressing question. Who is the Israel who will be gathered to the mountains? And this is page 8. So you probably have page 8, right? Mm-hmm. Who is Israel? So you guys know this because we've studied it and we've talked about it. We see where Paul tells us in Romans that we are Israel, all those who are circumcised in their heart. Israel is the name that was given to our father's servant, Jacob. Jacob, the father said, Jacob, your name is now Israel. Israel had 12 sons who each became a tribe of Israel. One of his sons had 2 sons that also became the tribe. Do you know who that was?
Let's see, where are we?
Joseph. He went to Egypt first to prepare a way for Israel's other sons, and he had 2 sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. And they are often called the half tribes. So there's actually 12 sons tribes, and then there's Manasseh and Ephraim. Now, it's important to note that both Manasseh and Ephraim were children of an Egyptian wife. They were Joseph's children and an Egyptian wife. Many centuries after Jacob, King David ruled over all the tribes. After David passed away, Father split Israel into 2 parts. You can look that up in 1 Kings 11. The 3 tribes, Judah, Levi, and Benjamin, became who the Bible calls the house of Judah. That is the southern kingdom. 3 tribes. Judah, this would be something to highlight, keep in mind. Levi and Benjamin. The rest of the tribes became who the Bible calls the house of Israel. The tribes of the house of Israel are Ephraim and Manasseh from Jacob's son Joseph, Gad, Reuben, Issachar, Zebulun, Naphtali, Dan, Simeon, and Asher. You count those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 3 tribes of Judah, Levi, Benjamin, and Judah, and 10 in the northern kingdom, which actually makes 13. So many teachers will say, well, we have the half tribe of Ephraim and Manasseh. You got a half Manasseh and half Ephraim, so that makes them 1, and that's how we're back to 12 tribes. As far as I can tell, there's 13 tribes. So we have the house of Judah, which is the lower kingdom and encompasses Israel's Jerusalem, Mount Zion, which is Judah, Levi, and Benjamin. And then the house of Israel, which is the northern tribes, which are the lost tribes, if you've ever heard those terms. The 10 house of Israel tribes worshipped other gods. That's the northern kingdom. So Father kicked them off his land in the 8th century BC. So 2,800 years ago, Father kicked them off his land and scattered them throughout the nations. They became, as the Bible calls them, the lost sheep. Now, have any of you asked the Father to tell you whether you were one of these lost sheep of the tribe? Any of you guys done that?
Yeah. What's the
Tia, you make that prayer out, your request? Okay, I would recommend you do that. Just ask the Father. It may not be, because
Except they're not lost because he knows where they are.
yes, the Father knows where they are. Right? But you should ask. Hey, Father, am I one of those from the lost tribe? Father knows who they are. I believe he will tell you. And he may just know you're just a wild branch, grafted in to any of those tribes you want to be in. There's scripture that actually says that. Have we read it?
I haven't found it yet.
Oh, well, we're going to see that. It actually says you're just grafted in. You can join any tribe you want to join if you're grafted in. But if you're in a tribe, you're in that tribe.
Wasn't that in the video today?
Might have been.
Yeah.
Much of the world has forgotten about this part of Israel, or they teach, and this is what Amir Sarfaki says, that the tribes were never really lost. They celebrate the house of Judah being in the land today as the return of the whole house of Israel, which they are not. And most of them are heathen Babylonians who worship Kabbalah. There are truly those of Judah, Benjamin, and of Levi that are in Israel today, but most of those that call themselves Jews, Judah, are not God's children. But Yahweh hasn't forgotten his lost sheep. Yahweh said through his prophet Ezekiel 34, 11 and 12, for thus says Yahweh God, behold, I myself will search for my sheep and will seek them out, as a shepherd seeks out his flock when he is among his sheep that have been scattered. So will I seek out my sheep, and I will rescue them from all places where they have been scattered. And this is why I say you should ask, because we don't know. But Father knows. Ask him. You may find out you actually belong to a tribe. Ezekiel 34, 11 to 12. I will seek the lost, he says. Ezekiel 34, 16. And they shall know, they, the lost tribes, that I am Yahweh, their God, with them, and that they, the house of Israel, are my people, declares Yahweh God. They shall know. Well, probably start by just asking him. Some say the lost tribes of Israel, house of Israel, are mixed in with the house of Judah. But the scriptures teach otherwise. In Ezra, we learn that when Israel came back from Babylon in the 6th century BC, this is 200 years after they were dispersed, Ezra came back to rebuild Jerusalem and the temple. All that was left of Israel was the three house of Judah tribes: Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. That's all that came back out of Babylon. Some of them, and not all of them. And that's in Ezra 1. In numerous Old Testament prophecies about the end of days, Yahweh speaks of the two houses as separate entities. Jeremiah 3:18, Ezekiel 37, Zechariah 10. The tribes of the house of Israel are not mixed in among Judah today, as some say. They are lost, as Father says. They are lost. If he calls them lost, who are we to say otherwise? Pete, look up Jeremiah 3:18, please. Debbie, look up Ezekiel 37, 15 and 28, please. And Gene, Zechariah 10, 6 to 9. Tia, you look them up, all of them.
37 what word?
Ezekiel 37, 15 to 28.
15 to 28?
Yeah, 15 to 20. You get a lot to read.
Oh, goodies.
Okay, Jeremiah 3:18. In those days, the house of Judah shall join the house of Israel, and together they shall come from the land of the north to the land that I gave their fathers, that I gave your fathers as a heritage.
Okay, so their father says that the two houses, he's going to come bring them both. Then read Ezekiel 37, 15 to 28, please.
The word of the Lord came to me. Am I reading the right one? 37.
Yep.
Okay. Son of man, take a stick and write on it. For Judah, is it Judah? How do I say it?
Judah.
For Judah and the people of Israel associated with him. And then take another stick and write on it. For Joseph, the stick of Ephraim.
Yep.
And all the house of Israel associated with him. And join them one to another into one stick, that they may become one in your hand. And when your people say to you, will you not tell us what you mean by this? Say to them, thus says the Lord God, behold, I am about to take the stick of Judah, that is the hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Israel associated with them. And I will join with it the stick of Judah, and make them one stick, that they may be one in my hand. Did I go too far? No. When the sticks on which you write are in your hand before their eyes, then say to them, thus says the Lord God, behold, I will take the people of Israel from the nations among which they have gone, and I will gather from all around and bring them to their own land. And I will make them one nation in the land on the mountains of Israel. And one king shall be king over all of them, and they shall be no longer two nations, and no longer divided into two kingdoms. They shall not defile themselves anymore with their idols and their disdainable things with any of their transgressions. But I will save them from all the backsliding in which they have sinned, and I will cleanse them, and they shall be my people, and I will be their God.
Okay, so you see, he's going to take the land of Judah, the house of Judah, the house of Israel, and all those associated with them. Did you catch that? The sojourners.
All those associated.
And he's going to make them into one stick. There's no stick of Gentiles. Because if you're a Gentile and you're part of Israel, you sojourn, you are part of Israel. One of those tribes, you're a part. And if you don't know, if you're not assigned a tribe, you can pick one. And we'll get to that scripture too. And notice what it says. Father, what does it say during the last verse there? Want to read the last verse again?
Well, I haven't read all of them.
Oh, read that last verse you read though.
Oh, 23, they shall not defile themselves anymore with their idols and their detestable things, or with any of their transgressions. But I will save them from all the backsliding in which they have sinned, and I will cleanse them, and they shall be my people, and I will be their God.
So what does it say that they are doing
Everything.
before he finds them?
Well, they're
Backsliding,
indeed
idols,
detestable,
and he will cleanse them. He will prune them. He will save them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they will be his people.
Yeah.
And what verses did you not finish, dear?
21 or 24 through 28.
Okay, go ahead and read them.
My servant David shall be king over them, and they shall all have one shepherd. They shall walk in my rules and be careful to obey my statuses. What is that?
Statutes.
What is it? Oh, statutes.
Statuses.
Statuses. They shall dwell in the land that I gave to my servant Jacob, where your fathers lived. They and their children and their children's children shall dwell there forever, and David my servant shall be their prince forever. I will make a covenant of peace with them. It shall be an everlasting covenant with them, and I will set them in their land and multiply them, and I will set my sanctuary in their midst forever. Forevermore, sorry. My dwelling,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
My dwelling place shall be with them, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. Then the nations will know that I am the Lord who sanctifies Israel with my sanctuary, when my sanctuary is in their midst forevermore.
Yeah. So then he's going to live with us on the earth forevermore. And it says, you notice where he's drawing them to? Did you catch that? Where is he sending them to? The mountains of his land. And then later he says, then they will live in his land.
Yeah.
So he's going to draw them all out of the nations to the mountains of his land. And he will sanctify them himself.
He shall dwell in the land.
Yeah. Zechariah 10, 6-9, Gene.
I will strengthen the house of Judah, and I will save the house of Joseph. I will bring them back because I have compassion on them, and they shall be as though I had not rejected them. And for I am the Lord God, their God, and I will answer them.
There you go. So we can see there's 3 passages saying that there's going to be one house coming from all the lost tribes and those that are known that are currently in the land now.
Wait, were you reading Zechariah 10?
Yeah,
Zechariah 10, 6 through 9.
Okay,
I didn't get that far.
Oh, I was going to say, because I listened, I will whistle for them and gather them, for I have redeemed them. I've never read that before.
Yeah.
I will whistle for them.
I will whisper.
No, it says whistle.
Well, what?
That's why you said that.
Let's look at that passage
Sorry,
and
Just
see what the Hebrew word is for that passage.
Well, it says whistle.
I will whistle for them.
Yeah.
And gather
I've
them
never
in.
thought of that.
Then Ephraim shall become like a mighty warrior, and their hearts shall be glad as with wine will be. Their children shall see it and be glad, and their heirs will rejoice in the Lord. I will whistle for them and gather them in, and I have redeemed them, and they shall be as many as they were before. Though I scatter them among the nations, yet in far countries they shall remember me, and with their children they shall live in return.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Whistle for him. Let's see what the Hebrew word says.
Just dying.
Because I'm
It's
wondering,
not
is he
whistle.
going to really whistle?
They use the horn.
King James Version says hiss.
Hiss.
Yes, well, that's even more interesting.
So what verse was that? Zechariah 10.
6 to 9.
Do I scare them? They
10,
should
8.
they should remain with
10:8. Yeah.
It's 8. But
I will whistle for them. So there's 10:8. So I will whistle as rekah. That word means
As a shepherd.
whistle, hiss, caused by whistling. He's going to, I bet you
Have
he's
you
going
ever
to.
thought of that?
I had never thought of the
Whistle?
Father whistling for us. I will
know.
whistle for them and gather them in, for I have redeemed them. Now, we got to remember, just because he says whistle doesn't mean he's going to literally whistle, right?
Why
Because,
don't you just take what it says for what it says?
well, because it's Hebrews. Because what does whistle imply?
That he wants it.
He's
That's what he
calling
wants.
them, right? So a Hebrew, when he hears the whistle, because remember, it's, what kind of logic is it?
Good job, Maya.
Oh,
Block logic. It is not step logic. It's concrete. They know what a whistle looks like. When they blow a whistle, that means someone's calling. So by using the logic of concrete, when it says he's whistling, that means that he's calling them.
Well, yeah, like he called
To us, the literalist, the step logic abstract, who's got these words, a whistle means you're going to whistle. That's what we would say. Well, can't you say it and just accept it? No, we can't, because it's written by a Hebrew and we have to understand it according to the Hebrews. He may have a whistle when he calls them, but the word means he's going to call them.
Well, it's the same thing.
Doubters.
So as they whistle for their sheep.
Yeah, as they whistle for their sheep. Yeah.
Yeah, or the dog.
So maybe a whistle. Maybe he'll have one of these things and he
I
knows how to
can't wait till he does it, Mark. I'm gonna laugh.
Remember, we say this in the same way.
What?
I would say, people say, what do you do? I say, well, I build houses.
Yeah.
But do I actually build them? No. I have subcontractors. I just manage them, right?
Your house.
So the Father, that analogy is still good in the Bible too. So when the Father says, I will do it, that doesn't mean he has people under his authority that he sends out to do it.
So the angels.
So when Jesus says, I will gather you out, then he tells us somewhere else, Father says, I will gather you out. He says, Jesus sends his angels out to gather. Still a Father gathering it, but he's not the one going door to door.
Well, maybe he's whistling for his angels to get over here and get everybody.
Sounds good.
Come on. Let's do this.
Okay. So if he calls them lost, who are we to say otherwise?
What?
This analogy came to mind as I was considering these manners. So Tia, do you mind reading this analogy?
Where at? Where are we at?
This is on page 9.
Up there.
No, it's on your page that I gave you on
It's
page.
easier for me to look.
Okay, I'll scroll
Yeah,
down.
it's easier to see.
Okay. So start where?
It's like this.
Okay. There's a father who had 12 sons he loves, and 3 of those sons were very close-knit, and they hung out as a group. All 12 sons ended up doing bad things, and they sold themselves into slavery and got taken away from their father's land in the middle of the night. Years later, the tight-knit group of 3 sons came back to the father's land, and the whole town had a huge party and said to one another, let us celebrate because all the father's sons have now returned home. And they completely ignored that the father had more than 3 sons. He had 12. The town can party all they want, but the father is still sending out search parties for his other missing kids. This is what has been happening since 1948, creation of the state of Israel. The church has celebrated the return of Judah, Levi, and Benjamin as being the regathering of all Israel. And they've ignored the many prophecies about the actual regathering of the 12 tribes. If you think the regathering of Israel took place in 1948, then Gog Magog can happen any day now. Then for you, Gog and Magog can happen any day now. But for us, we're waiting for Father to gather the 12 tribes first. This concept of gathering of Israel is essential to understanding not only the who of Gog Magog, but also where, when, and why. So for the sake of those who have been taught to believe the biblical Israel has been brought back already, let's examine the scriptures.
Okay, so if any of you believe that Israel had already been brought back because of 1948? I'm one.
Yeah, I think that they feel that that's what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believed it very strongly. People say, why do you think we're at the end of the days? Well, because Israel's back. And it says that, yeah, I was one, but this argument corrected me. And now they're making that argument that when Israel came back in 1948, that isn't the fulfillment of these passages. Israel, as Paul told us, is those who are circumcised in their hearts. Born again, sealed with the Spirit, holy, set apart to the Father. Okay.
But they will gather them, they will bring them all back.
Yeah, he'll bring them all
tribes
back.
back.
Yep. So that little analogy, thank you, Tia, for reading that analogy. You guys understand the analogy? Okay. So, who wants to read this?
What?
Read what?
How the Bible describes Israel's regathering.
Okay. Okay, the Bible describes what the regathering of Israel will be like. And according to the descriptions Father gives us about it, it hasn't happened yet. Ezekiel 20 says Father will take anyone who's from his tribe of Israel out of whatever countries they live in now and into the wilderness. In Revelation, we read about the woman with 12 stars on her head, which is a picture of Israel. And it says this woman, Israel, is nourished in the wilderness at the end of days for a time, times and half a time. Revelation 12. So Israel has to go to the wilderness first. That hasn't happened yet, but it will. Ezekiel 20 also says that when the Father regathers Israel and they're in the wilderness, he is going to purge them. And as part of the purge, anyone who is a rebel, who doesn't want to follow his ways, will not be allowed to enter the land of Israel.
Okay, so that is it. Any questions on that?
The word wilderness, is it block or is it logic?
Good.
The
Good.
reason I ask that
Yeah.
is because when he says, I'll take, or my people are scattered, and they will be taken to the wilderness, is that any place out there that's
No.
sacred to him? Or is there a specific place the wilderness is? You see what I'm saying? Is that
Yeah,
if you're a believer, no matter where you're at, I'm going to save you. You can go to the wilderness. They use that as a term
right.
rather than a place.
Yeah, and we've got, Deb, you got something to say?
No, I was just thinking about what you said.
Okay, so we got to think of the first Exodus.
Yeah.
Remember, Father took his people out of Egypt,
Mhm.
but he had to take them to the wilderness to get Egypt out of them.
Mm-hmm.
And the wilderness is where no one lived. And in the scriptures, when we look at the word wilderness, it's always where nobody lives.
Right.
Okay, now we have wilderness in the northwest where there's gobs of trees and mountains. In Enoch, we see the place of wilderness where Enoch is taken to wilderness. There's trees and all kind of things. But it generally means, in this case, when we look at the word wilderness, it means where no one lives, into the wilderness. Now, that young lady in that video I sent out today, the second Exodus debunked, she made a case for the wilderness, and this is where she just fell apart. It's the second part of their series, where the wilderness is Jerusalem, the new Jerusalem. Nobody lives there. That's the Father's wilderness. And it is such a stretch. And then she kept going on and on and on and on. I couldn't follow her anymore. Because it's not the wilderness, it's Father's house. And so Father lives there. And if Father lives there in a house, and Jesus says, I go to my Father's house to build a room for you. And my Father's house has many rooms. So when the New Jerusalem comes down, Father's house is not a wilderness.
It's a paradise.
It's a paradise. It may only have a limited amount of one or two people living in it right now, but it's Father's house.
They collect all the wildernesses into his house.
Yeah. So, but that's a great question, and that's her argument against this. And this is where she really falls apart because these are the kind of questions I wanted to ask her. How in the world can you call the New Jerusalem, which is in Revelation 22, if you haven't read it, and how can you call that? Or maybe it's 23, or maybe it's 24. I'm not sure. How can you call that a wilderness? And how do you make that connection? And she just makes a big leap to do that. And it was about that point I says, well, I'm wondering if you are a AI bot.
There's no box there to check, I'm a robot.
Yeah, I'm a robot. Yeah.
Well, the way she talks and
Really?
the way everything goes through it, it's like, slow down. I can't. It's like, it's almost misleading you.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm saying this, you got to believe me.
Some people are very.
That's what
I have a brother that way.
Which one?
My oldest brother. He's very dogmatic when it comes to that.
He's oldest.
You believe him whether
Yeah.
it's the truth or not. He was pretty successful in business.
Yeah. Yeah. Ezekiel 20 also says that when Father regathers Israel and they're in the wilderness, whatever that wilderness is, he is going to purge them. So I can guarantee you they're not in Father's house, because nobody's going into the Father's house until after they've been purged, right? You aren't getting into Father's house. You're not going to be in Jerusalem. The Bible tells us the only ones in Jerusalem are Father's children. So they're going to purge them. And as part of that purge, anyone who is a rebel who doesn't want to follow his ways will not be allowed to enter the land of Israel. So this wilderness has got to be, well, as it said, where nobody lives. So it lines up with those mountains. It lines up as the second exodus into the wilderness. Ezekiel 11:18 says those who do not enter the land will be the ones to remove all the abominations from it. So who will remove the abominations from the land? Those who do enter the land. Ezekiel 11:18. Somebody got that? They can read it.
Which one is it, Mark?
Ezekiel 11:18.
Oh, the one you just read?
I got 17 through 20. Ezekiel 11:17 to 20. Therefore say, thus says the Lord God, I will gather you from the peoples, assemble you from the countries where you have been scattered, and I will give you the land of Israel. And they will go there, and they will take away all its detestable things and all its abominations from there. Then I will give them one heart, and I will put a new spirit within them, and take the stony heart out of their flesh, and give them a heart of flesh, that they may walk in my statutes and keep my judgments and do them, and they shall be my people, and I will be their God.
Okay, so you see that? They will be the ones who will remove all the abominations. Now, your translation
I don't know what it is.
says, then they will. That word is a yod letter. It should say, and they will, because then implies there's a progression of step logic. When it was translated, they often take the word, which means and says then. That's step logic. But it's concrete logic. It's a group of things that's going to happen. And so it says, and he will purge them. I believe he will purge them before they go into Israel. Because when they go into Israel, that's their job, to purge the abomination, not afterwards. Not then they will be purged. Father will first purge his people, then he will send them, and he will send them into Israel to remove the abominations from it. Just a little note there. Today there are rebels in the land of Israel who don't follow God's ways. So Yahweh purge hasn't happened yet. And there still are abominations in his land. So the Israel he's talking about hasn't returned yet. Micah 7:15 tells us the regathering will be with great miracles like the first Exodus. It says, according to the days of thy coming out of the land of Egypt, will I show unto him, Israel, marvelous things. That's what Micah says. So there is the first comparison that we see of the second Exodus being related to the first Exodus. According to the days of you coming out of the land of Egypt, will I show unto him, Israel, marvelous things. And Jeremiah 16:14-15 says that after the regathering, people won't even talk about the Exodus from Egypt anymore. We saw this at the beginning, right? Therefore, behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that it shall no more be said, Yahweh lives that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. But it will say, the Lord liveth that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north and from all the lands where he had driven them. The creation of the state of Israel in 1948 didn't come with miraculous signs like Moses parting the Red Sea and God sending manna from heaven, and people today still talk about that first Exodus. So to recap, we don't have all 12 tribes in the land. There was no purge of the rebels. Rebels entered the land of Israel in 1948, and to this day, there are people there who don't walk in his ways. People still talk about the first Exodus. Abominations have not been removed from the land. In Israel today, you will find many idols. You know it is the largest population of homosexuality, LGBTQ in the world. Amulets, sorceries, and the people who commit abominations to Yahweh. And the ultimate abomination is still yet to come at the end of days when the Antichrist sets up an idol of himself in Jerusalem. By all of this, we know the regathering hasn't happened yet. Anybody convinced?
Pretty close, yeah.
Yeah. And then countering a false argument, it just goes that nation born in one day, and it goes into page 10, and we're at the end of our study for tonight. So